Greetings. Welcome to Mad Poet Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murdoch, the Mad Poet. Hope everybody's doing well. Great to be here. I'm here with a special guest, a veteran in the haunted attractions industry, over 20 years of experience. So I can only imagine how much you've seen and the type of experiences you've had, crafting immersive horror experiences. And there's got to be an artist today, I'm sure, an eye for art, if you will. Mr. Marty Arominski. Good day, sir. How you doing? Welcome to my
Good.
podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Let me just read one thing and just to share back to my audience. A piece for the day. Um, Fallen from grace, befell to the folly side, slip and slide until my cage collide. Open fracture, thus my pain sit high. Running red like jihad main, I think I heard a lion cry. Movement no longer motive, I want to survive. Case remains imminent if one does not heed plight, subside like dye, painted across the face like sighs. The words can drain like I no longer fight. What would that mean? What would that make? Yeah, just a little quote for the day. So yes, back to the matter of hand. Yeah, so this is such a unique I'm never really, just the idea of it, the experience behind it. It's such a unique field or chosen field, if you will. And of course it encapsulates so many different things. Um, Take us back to the beginning, if you will, please. How did this come about? Like,
Started back in 2000.
yeah,
Um, I was a member of an Elks Lodge, which is like a fraternal organization in the United States
yes,
where they do like, charity work and stuff. We had an old turn of the century mansion built in, I think, 1890, which was our clubhouse or
yes,
lodge, what they called it a lodge. And we were looking to raise funds to do we do a lot of stuff with kids, like with the soccer. We have like a soccer shootout and stuff like that.
yeah,
So um, somebody came up with this great idea. Oh, we should do a haunted house because a local fire department, a couple of towns away, was very successful. And somehow, because I was like the youngest member, I think I was 48 at the time.
mm,
Oh, you're going to be the chairman to run it. So that's how it started. So I ran it for 3 years. I got burnt out because a lot of fraternal organizations, guys said, "Well, I did my time. I don't want to do any more." And most of our members, like I said, were in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or So we were in our building was in a residential neighborhood
mm,
on a one-lane road. So if we used to do weddings there. So of course, during weddings, all the cars come at once, right?
yeah,
And with a one-lane road, people couldn't get out if they wanted to get out. And so that always posed a problem with the neighborhood. So we ended up doing this haunted house. We did it, it was successful, because we had all volunteers. I was able to get all like the local high school kids to do it. And I was lucky because my daughter was a senior in high school,
yeah,
got all her friends. My son was a junior at the time, got all his friends. And we gave them like a community service, which most kids need now to go to college. They got to show some sort of community service work. So that's how it
yeah.
started. Did it for 3 years, got burnt out, and we would never open Halloween night because we were concerned, uh, you know, you know, people coming in, and they may be destroying the neighborhood or something. And also the fact I had all high school kids, they weren't going to be there at all because they're going to be at some Halloween party. So I used to go visit other haunted houses on Halloween night, met a couple of guys. Um, we went to the Elks the following year, said, "Hey, we'll run it for you, we'll pay you, you know," and that started me going on the professional level at that point. So I've been in, God, I don't know how many, 5, 6 towns, I guess, with
Yeah,
different partners, which I've had problems with, and and gone from there. I mean, like, yeah, one year we got robbed. The
mm,
place, my partner's place got robbed,
yeah,
and so that didn't work out, because it was we had a lot of cash there. We lost that year, and unfortunately, like I said, it's a seasonal business. You got um, you got 5 weeks to make money, you know, and it's tough. It's a tough business. And there's a whole bunch of conventions. Like there's one, what they call Trans World, which is in St. Louis.
yeah.
Usually like in March. That's like the big show, and that has grown in the 20 something years I've been going there. Uh, and and I go to some local, the local shows too that they run. And that's basically it. And then I've visited, some of these conventions had like 2-day bus trips that you would see, you know, 10 haunted houses in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
And, that's where you get your ideas. A friend of mine says, you take two old ideas and make it into a new one, you know, and
If I could ask, I'm
yeah.
curious, what is the intrigue? What's in it for you that's so intriguing that it wants you to
I,
keep going?
Me, it's more like, because I don't act or anything else like that, and, it's more when I talk to people and they said they've had such a good time. That's
Mm,
like the high I get,
yeah.
or they come out screaming, they're like this, breathe like this. How was it? And you go, oh, it's great, like that, so and
Nice.
and and the way I do my haunted house, like I said, I've been doing this, like I said, over 2 decades. I usually try to send in only 6 people, and each wherever these scares are, we tell the actor, don't scare all 6 people, scare one person in that group. So we tell them to, scare the second person in that group, right?
Mm,
And you go into the next room, we'll scare maybe the fourth person in that group. Maybe go back to the second. And by the end of the night, everybody's got like the same amount of scares. Okay. But the interesting fact is that when we scare a person, they got this like scary look on their face, and their friends are just laughing at them because they
wow.
see this little face. And then the other thing, the funny thing about it is that a friend of mine told me, which I never realized, which is true, that the person who got really scared,
Yeah.
they take like one step and they start laughing at themselves and they can't believe I got scared on that stupid thing.
It is I'm just curious about that experience. Is do you think, in your opinion, because you would know,
Yeah.
is it the level of is it infectious in a group of people and one is scared? You don't necessarily have to worry about the rest. You just need to scare one.
Yeah, we scare one in that group, in that particular room. Okay. And then we go into the next room that we're scared because I found it more, the actor's more effective because he's going one on one
Yeah.
as opposed to going
Okay.
one on six.
I see what
You
you
know,
mean.
that's the theory behind it. And then, like I said, the other people are laughing at that person who we just scared. And believe it or not, it turns out you do more laughing
Hmm.
in the haunted house than you do getting scared.
Interesting.
And and it, you know, like I said, and that's the entertainment. Like, like I've done, like I said, I've been in about 6 or 7 different venues,
Yeah,
and and I've designed everything, and I find, like you said, people are just very entertained. They want to be entertained. They don't want to be
yeah,
scared all the time, right?
mm,
Because you can't like scare that same person over again. It gets to the point, leave me alone. I'm stuck. Whereas, like I
yeah,
said, I scared them. I really might. I gave them the fear of God or whatever. But I scared the next person. That scare, their apprehension is all gone because now they're laughing at their friends so much
yeah,
because we scared them.
yeah,
So, and like I said, we're entertainment. We have to entertain for the dollar. There's, like I said, there's competition, and you just, you try to do the best you can. Like, a lot of places have the same old stuff every year. Like, I change it up, because I never had a permanent place,
yes,
unfortunately, because um, real estate taxes are very expensive out here on Long Island, and even
yeah,
in New York, where I've had a couple of shows. It's just too expensive to run something all year. And the other problem is, I find that there's a significant drop off once Halloween hits. After Halloween, it just like attendance just drops.
yeah.
You know,
What does this mean for community? What's the impact on community? Even if it's just you're
the
just
community.
traveling through. Yeah,
Well, like right now, I'm doing. I'm working with a local fire department,
yeah,
where they, the money they make, they're buying better equipment for the firemen, because the firemen are all volunteers,
yeah,
it's amazing. You take these guys who, they will run into a building and they're not getting paid to run into a building like a New York City fireman is. They're
yeah.
going in there, they're risking their lives, for their community.
That's unexpected. You said volunteers not getting paid. I didn't expect that. Um, that's quite a serious job to not,
Yeah.
get paid for. I suppose. So, you know, are there any? Just a curious question. Are there any drawbacks to, what you do? And
Well, you could lose money. You know, I ran a haunt. Um, I I had run a haunt in this one like in a park, which we were renting. We had to pay rent to the local county,
yeah,
and so we were there 3 years. First year, we lost some money because we had a lot of rain that just like hurt us.
yeah,
Second year we were profitable because they said people who came, the word of mouth was, my God, you should come to the show. It's unbelievable.
mm,
Third year, we brought in somebody to market and I ended up losing money, but I grossed $250,000.
right,
But my expenses were, I think 260,000 or something like that. You know,
yeah,
and that, like I said, you think you do, oh, I did $250,000. That's great. But, we spent more money.
mm,
And like that year we did uh, we were kind of forced to do a hayride,
yeah,
which I really didn't want to do. You know, I was content to do. We had like 200 houses we were doing, and and we had like in one of them we had like 3 different themes on it. So it was pretty good, and it's just like I said, very very frustrating because your hands get tied.
yeah,
So like the guy who's county executive says, "Oh, I want you guys to do a hayride," you know, and like my son who was helping me back in the time said, "No, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." I says, "I really don't have a choice in the matter."
yeah,
And and the problem was, hayrides are great, but you got to own a tractor,
Yeah.
You got to own a trailer. You got to have hay bales, like this.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that. And you just can't have one, right? Now you got to have, like seven of them, right? And then
I-
on top of that, now you got to pay the guy who's driving the tractor more than you're paying your actors,
yeah.
you know? So it adds up very quickly.
Sorry to
And
interrupt, Marty. You just need to come forward a little bit. I can't really see your face on the camera.
I'm just gonna move the camera a little bit better.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, let me see if I can stand it up. I'll stand. I'm on my wife's laptop.
No, I can see.
Is that better?
Much better. Much better.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really it's a very unique experience and lifestyle. Of course, you get so much from it, and clearly the community appreciates what you do and
Yeah.
what you give. You know, but I'm also curious about yourself. Like, there must be a talent attached to you being creative enough to make something like this just go. So I'm curious about your background. Is there anything artistic related?
Nothing. No, I tell you, I play ice hockey. That's about it. Uh, again, like I said, the idea of when I first started, we did like basic scares, because they said it was just like somebody came out from the side or something, and scared you. And like I said, the big thing I think where I've learned most was that I've gone to all these different haunted houses all over the United States.
Yeah.
I've done like I've lost count. Yeah, I think my count was like about 175 in
Mm,
like 20 something states.
yes.
And so like in you see something, and then you also fact that the conventions, they have seminars.
Yeah.
So, some of the seminars, about business, marketing, I always go to those. And there's always, some like scares, they always did one, 61 scares in 60 minutes. And like you pick and choose, like,
Yeah.
you find something, I know one guy told me, he says that you go to these things, like you may pay $50 for the thing, but if you pick up one or two good ideas, it was
Mm,
more than worth the money for it.
mm,
And again, like I said, a lot of times I've seen stuff like no exaggeration. I have a folder that's got to be about 4 inches thick
yeah.
of scares, which
Wow.
a lot of them I haven't used, like, we've used like we used to do an exorcist room pretty much a lot.
Mm,
We
that
had the
would be
girl, the
interesting.
girl on the bed
Yeah.
and like, and I've had, you know, I would say over 10 different women
Yeah.
in there and it just freaks people out. Then it didn't matter who the actress was, whether she was, thin, heavy, it didn't matter. Tall, short, it didn't matter. It just scared the crap out of them. And I would say 90% of the time I would have some sort of exorcist room in there.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. And then, like I said, what you do is that when you go to these shows, there's animatronics you buy, you see something, oh, we gotta use that, whether it's like an electric chair, I have this thing called a goat head, and
Yeah.
it's like I've seen it for years, and like I never had any interest in it whatsoever, right? And I've friends who are horn owners in Winnipeg, Canada, Manitoba,
Yeah.
and they told me you should get this, it's worth it. All right, so I bought it on their recommendation. And I'm glad they told me, because
You know.
it's like a giant goat head. Um, it's got to be about, with the horns about 3 feet wide.
Oh wow.
The head is, like this, I would say, I don't
That's
know, about 4 feet, 4 feet.
that's a big hit.
And yeah, yeah, and what it is, it hangs like, on a, you build a a cage for it, right? And it hangs on a cage. And what happens is there's an actor behind there, he has the soundtrack, like it's roaring or something, and he pushes this thing at you,
Mm.
like it comes at you, and the mouth opens, the eyes light up, and when you're not expecting it, it's a good scare, And
Yeah.
when you do it, you always have it around a corner. And I'm trying something different this year with that, which, if it works, it's going to be the best scare I've ever done in my life. And well, we're gonna take it from there.
It's
So,
amazing.
like, excuse me, I'm
It's
sorry.
amazing. No, I'm
Yeah,
just saying it's amazing what you're doing. Um, I mean, for me personally, it's just I can hear the passion when you speak about it, so I know it means a lot to you. Um, I think sometimes, just
yeah,
speaking about what you're speaking, I can hear in sense of, I suppose what I mean is, you might think people are coming out just to, for an experience or something, have fun with their friends, and maybe just to be out, get away from their life or something like that. But just speaking
mm,
about just listening to your words, it sounds to me like, and I guess what I'm looking for is your approval or disapproval with this statement, where it sounds to me like people are trying to, um, they're happy just to get out of their own skin, just to, you know what I mean, to be uncomfortable, just to kind of, um, a sort of displacement, if you will, from their
well,
situation of what they have in their mind.
people, like I said, they have jobs, they're busy, family and everything. They need to escape on something,
Mm.
and this is an escape in October, where, like comes Christmas time, uh, you know, the United States is very big on people with Christmas lights. They decorate their houses and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Uh, People go out all night, like we have a local paper. They list all the lights and stuff, where to go
Mm.
for you, which is great because then, you just, hey, let's hit this neighborhood, they give the addresses, there, it's a lot of them, especially like, the bigger ones, they're always making, they ask for a charity donation to like make a wish or something, or whatever, how they're thinking of. So, it's good. And like I said, people go out for the night, and
Yeah.
they have a good time. That's the whole idea. Going out to a good time,
Yeah.
you know, there's we don't serve alcohol, you're in our place, maybe half hour. That's it, you know.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was one of the unique ways you think people have benefited from your giving back with what you do?
Well, I'm hoping they're having a really good time, that the money they spent, they felt it was well worth it, you know, that we,
Mm.
we really gave a big bang for their buck, you
Yeah.
know.
And you've been at this well this I'm assuming you lead or you own this company that you're
Yeah, I have my own company. I actually have a couple of companies, one owns all the props, and then the other one runs, and then the other company runs the thing. It's
yeah.
that's what accountants are for,
Yeah.
So, uh, so that's what we do. Yeah.
And how long was it, 20 years or longer than
Yeah,
that?
I started 2000. Um, I There was 2 years. I think it was 2007, 2008. I didn't do it, um, because, the place we were renting,
Yeah.
we're getting ready to build. Getting ready. We used to come in Labor Day to start building,
Yeah.
and my landlord tells me, we can't do the haunt this year. I go, what are you talking about? Well, the fire marshal came in and he's not allowing anybody upstairs. Like the guy used to have parties upstairs. He
Yeah.
said, you won't even let me have my parties. The fire marshal, I don't know why,
Mm.
because because I I run like a very safe haunted house, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I am super anal when it comes to safety,
Yeah.
you know. I had a fire marshal once told me the way you should look at it is what's the worst possible thing can happen at the worst possible time, and you try to prevent it.
Yes.
Yeah, because unfortunately, we have people, pardon my expression, but the customers are assholes.
Yes.
They re-
I would agree with
they
that.
really some of them are really, they come in drunk, you know, and so like, we have security, so and I've one of the best things I've ever found, like, usually the guy comes with his girlfriend and everything.
Yeah.
We tell people beforehand, okay, you don't touch the props, don't touch the actors or anything else like that. Because if you do, we not only are we going to remove you, we're going to remove your whole group.
Mm,
We're going to throw all six of you out.
yeah.
Okay. So that's where the girlfriend comes in, and she tells him, you want to get, late tonight, you better be good. You know, so they act as my policemen. But like I said, if we do see somebody, what we'll do is we'll we'll have a couple people follow them, and
Yes.
and what they'll do is they'll just rotate in the rooms. So one guy's in like room one, and the other guy's in room two. Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as the guy leaves, goes into room two, the guy who was in room one now goes into room three, and
Yeah.
then and four, and they just go back and forth. So they see a presence in there, and then they usually stop. I mean, I've even had problems with, like I said, one year, we were having problems with guys drunk. They were cops.
Mm, wow.
What are you what are you gonna do? You
Yeah.
you try to reason with them. It's hey, the idea, it's a good time. Well, because they give me that. Well, the guy scared me. I was gonna punch him. He's not gonna hit you. He's gonna because we always tell them they're not gonna hit you. They're not gonna touch you. They're gonna get close as hell.
Yeah.
You know, you know, but we're not gonna touch you. I have insurance for that. Yeah, my insurance doesn't allow me. One of the first questions is, do you have a touching haunt? The answer is no. We don't want that because once you start invading people's spaces,
Yeah.
you know they back. Hopefully they back away as opposed to throwing punches. I mean, I've had guys throw punches at girls for crying out loud. And we've thrown them out. Well, she scared me. I said, did you hear what you just said? She scared me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And like, and as far as, like I said, safety goes, like I said, we make sure everything's safe. I've had only, I think, three three instances in the last, over, 23 years of doing it. One was I had 5,000 people walk down a flight of steps, okay?
Wow.
And the guy tripped on the second to last step. The other 5,000 people walked fine, you know? And the guy twisted his ankle, you know? And so that was one. It was no big deal. And then we had another one. We did this thing called blackout, and all the walls were like screens,
Yeah.
so you could see, right? So you would see a light. We had this giant 500-watt strobe. The light would go on, and you would see the actor like in the distance,
Yeah.
and then we go blackout, right?
Yeah.
So now the actor gets closer, moves towards you
Yeah.
in the dark, right? And it got to a point where the girl, my actor, was right in front of them, but they were in front of a fence.
Oh no.
The girl got so scared she turned and ran. Got 8 feet and face planted right into the screen.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so we
that's like
found
a
that,
horror movie in itself.
no, yeah, it was, like I said, you don't want anybody to get hurt, especially, you know, she was like 20-year-old or something like that.
Yeah.
So, we got her inside, she had a slight cut like on the bridge of her nose. And So I said, okay, I said, look, we'll take, she, thank God she had insurance. I said, okay, I said, look, have your insurance paid, and they said, we'll pay for anything, that's not covered by insurance,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and she said, well, I have a, cut. I said, okay, first of all, when you go there, I'm telling you, this is what you tell, you demand a plastic surgeon. You don't want an ER doctor stitching
Yeah.
you up. You want a plastic surgeon. And so that was it. And then the other one I had was she said her daughter had an UGG boot or something,
Yeah. Okay.
and then she I don't know, said she hit something and scratched it or something, and she wanted me to repay, to pay for the Uggs. So so I said, okay, if that's the case, if I'm paying the Uggs, I want those Uggs then. I at least want to get my money's worth.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but nothing ever happened. When I said that, nothing ever happened. And like I said, I just go in, I look at things, we inspect every night. We go through, our actors, any problems with anything, and then we just write it up, and then the next day we make sure, we take care of it, because sometimes like a wall will move or something,
Yeah.
we have to, push it back or whatever, and that's what we do. Try to make,
Man, it sounds to me
but that's
like
the whole thing. You have to make it safe.
no doubt, no doubt. It
You
sounds to
got
me
to make it
like
safe,
yeah,
despite the people, despite the idiots. Yeah.
correct, correct. Um, it definitely sounds like you made a career out of scaring people for sure. Fear is the way, clearly. Um, I definitely appreciate you sharing what you're sharing.
Yeah.
We don't have much time, but I just wanted to give you the floor to share anything that you might want people to find out about before we go.
Well, our haunt is called Long Island Haunted Firehouse. The website is longislandhauntedfirehouse.org. Um, Admission is $20. You want to get a fast VIP pass, which is 30, which is a fast pass. Now we're doing something. I'm doing something different for the first time. The VIPs have their own separate haunt.
Yeah,
It's like 400 square feet. Only a VIP can get it in. So what we're going to do is that when you first walk in, we're going to take a picture of you, and you can request an email at the end of the night, and you can get a photo of you for free. We're not charging you anything. And from there, you go into their section haunt. We have some unique scares in there for them, and then they'll come out, and then they'll go into the regular haunt at that point. And so we have the regular haunt is we have a 30 by 30 inflatable
yeah.
maze that you have to go through. You get through that, you go through another maze, which is a little bit bigger. I think it's I don't know, about 30 by 60 or something like that.
Mm.
Uh, then you go walk through our cemetery. Um, then you walk through our uh, we have a container, like a shipping container, that you got to walk through, which is pitch black, and you got to deal with that. And then you come out, and it's a funny thing. We got a lot of this last year. Oh my God, this was so good! I can't wait to come back next year. And then we had to explain to the people, well, you're only half done. Now you're going inside the building,
Mm.
And then you got we got typical scares, your chainsaws, whatever, and clowns. And like I said, we got a couple. I got a couple of things up my sleeve that is really going to be very entertaining.
I respect it.
And we're open. Basically, we're open Friday, Saturday night. Yeah,
No, I was just I thought you were finished. Um, no, just saying I respect what you do, man. I think it's always commendable when you're doing something for others, giving back to the people. So
right.
this is important. So I respect it, and
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
coming to the platform to share what you have to give, what you're doing. Um, Thanks so much. We don't have much
Okay.
time, so
Okay. Thanks.
but we'll be
Thanks.
in touch.
Thanks. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Have a nice evening. Bye.